Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Hard Knocks. Hard Knocks is a podcast where we'll talk about life issues affecting the society. Hard Knocks is brought to you by Walloa Media. And today we'll be talking about a topic that has to do with the populace, that has to do with our health as well. It is a scourge that has eaten deep into the fabrics of the society. It is a prevalent thing it cut across both the youths and the old. Today, we'll be talking about the impact of fake drugs on the society and on the public health. I have with me carefully selected guests who are suitable to deal on this topic. They are reputable pharmacists and they are well suited to talk about today's topic. And I have with me to my right.
I am pharmacist Ajalu Ibrahim Uluwashi.
And to my further right.
Amalawode Oluwatosin. I trained as a pharmacologist.
Okay, and to the far right, my usual suspect.
Yeah, usual suspect, Ode. I'm here on the show to analyze the topic alongside our guests.
All right, like I said earlier, we'll be analyzing the scourge of fake drugs, especially in Nigeria and Africa, and how it has affected the public health, how it has affected the humanity. So let me start with you, Abraham. What would you say about this scourge of fake drugs in Nigeria?
All right, when we talk about fake drug in Nigeria, I think it's a really big public health challenge in Nigeria. And it's really affecting almost maybe it's a concern for all stakeholders when we come to the healthcare team. Because probably by the time maybe a particular doctor make a right diagnosis of a particular ailment and the treatment is being maybe initiated and it get to the point whereby the person is meant to be taking medication for that particular ailment. And at the end of the day, you realize that the effort of the doctor or the lab scientists down to every other healthcare team, to the physiotherapists that have come together to attend to this particular patient. And at the end of the day, you realize that it is now the drug, maybe when the person now gets a particular fake medication, it now probably mess up the whole thing.
Okay, so at what point do you think this can be detected? For example, I go to the hospital, maybe to treat a particular ailment. Now, I've gone to the hospital as is expected of me. And I found out that, okay, I'm still not seeing any improvement in my health. At what point should you think I should raise an alarm to know that, okay, could it be as a result of the fake drugs, or could it be that, okay, proper diagnosis was not carried out? Because sometimes you might think it's the drugs, but maybe the proper diagnosis was not carried out. So at what point do you think I should be thinking about fake drugs, or should that alarm bell be sounding in my ears?
When it comes to maybe at the point you need to maybe think about it, that fake drug or not. In the first place, what we encourage and what we probably emphasize on is the fact that if you are probably getting any medication, you should just make sure you are getting it from a reputable pharmacy store. Maybe before we start even talking about this, we need to probably maybe look at what is this, what do we even classify first as a counterfeit drug in the first place? Where there are numerous definitions for counterfeit drug, but any drug that is probably does not meet up the actual active ingredients that is meant to be in the drug, is not maybe the drug is not being produced by the rightful owner of the medication, can be classified maybe as a counterfeit drug. And most of the time, those counterfeit drugs are drugs that maybe the active ingredients are not sufficient enough. Let me pick, for example, maybe paracetamol that we all know that is supposed to be 500 milligram. Maybe somebody at the backyard just did something and probably make paracetamol and make it 250 milligram. Because some of these people that counterfeit too, they know that one way or the other, some people want to run like a simple test to be sure that is this actually paracetamol. So some of them will just put a minute milligram of the active ingredient inside so that by the time they want to do some physical easy test, they'll know that yes, there's actually paracetamol inside. But the paracetamol may not be enough milligram that is supposed to take care of maybe the image or the headache we are talking about. So after saying this, then and I have to look at maybe when you ask me now that what's the question again? You just asked.
I was asking that at what point should the alarm bell be ringing in my ears?
Now, if at the point which you need to probably start ringing the bell is the fact that if you pick up any medication here in Nigeria and you realize that the drug does not have a NAFDAC number because there is already an agency that is helping us to checkmate some of this drug to be sure it is either counterfeit or fake. So the responsibility has been handed over to NAFDAC. As a layman person or as individual, because this is probably not your field or territory, you may not probably easily detect. But what number one thing you have to watch out for is the NAFDAC number. And as long as there's a NAFDAC number on any drug, it's count to be original. Although I know there can still be some backyard work towards that. But as long as it has a NAFDAC number and is being gotten in a reputable pharmacy. How do you know a reputable pharmacy? A pharmacy store that there is this green cross we call it RX sign. The green cross. It is a patent one. I know some people always try to maybe mimic it and do exactly like it. The one that you always look out for is the green cross. If you look at the green cross very well, look up, you'll see a particular PSN number.
Okay.
So that one cannot be fake. So if a pharmacy store, you visit any pharmacy store, you look at, that is the number one thing you look at before you can move into the pharmacy.
What do you call that? PSN?
Number.
So is it like a number where you can validate? You can take it, pick the number and validate it?
It's a pity you cannot validate that. There's no way you can validate that, but there's one you can also validate, which is this one is just the physical appearance of the store before you move in. That is what we even tell you, go in. Now you have gotten inside. There's another thing you can also check out for you to be sure that, you are in a pharmacy that is being regulated. That is somebody somewhere is checking what this pharmacist is bringing in and selling out. So what is the other thing when you get in? Every community pharmacy in Nigeria, which should hang their premises license and the superintendent pharmacist license. So now, if you walk into the pharmacy store, it should be hung in a place that it will be visible to everybody.
Okay.
Not that in the office or so. If you walk into the pharmacy and you look around, you didn't see any form of premises license. There's no form of practicing license of the superintendent pharmacist in that place. The superintendent pharmacist may not necessarily be on duty. Anyway, another pharmacist will be there. For example, I am here right now. A pharmacist is covering for me in my premises. So if you see that license and you are satisfied, then you'll be 100% sure that what you are getting in that pharmacy is not fake. You can be 100% sure of that. Then the third one is you ask, who is the pharmacist on duty? Even I know of a lot of clients, although some of us, we smile over it. Even ordinary paracetamol. They just want to walk in and buy paracetamol. Say, where is the pharmacist? When the pharmacist show up, oh, I'm the pharmacist. Please give me paracetamol. You wonder ordinary paracetamol, but that is how it should be because this is drug.
True.
The client may not necessarily need that paracetamol. He may need some other things. But when he said, give me paracetamol, we engage. By the time we start discussing with the clients, we may realize that, oh, this person just needs sleep. Oh. He just needs rest. Oh. Why getting paracetamol? So, in terms of at which point do you know if a particular drug is a counterfeit drug, you may not know physically, but just ensure that where you are getting this medication from is from a reputable community pharmacist, which I have told you how you can detect such. They cross the green sign signage is always outside. And a lot of people, as I said, we fake it. But for you to know the original, there is a PSN number written on top. Then when you walk into the pharmacy, look out for the license visible on the wall. Then the third, ask for the pharmacist on duty and engage the pharmacy based on the medication you are buying.
Okay, can I also add to that?
Okay, you can go ahead.
All right. So, because of my experience, because I've started my career as a medical sales rep for an ingenious company in Nigeria. And one thing is that, you see, the battle against counterfeit drugs, or what we call fake drugs, is been long coming. And the truth is that the people, the populace, they are not equipped with enough or sufficient information to, like you rightly said, to spot a counterfeit product. Either maybe it's necessarily may not even be a drug you ingest, can even be a cream for topical use, maybe for maybe something to take care of maybe skin infection or something. How do you recognize this product? The truth is that some companies are taking the initiative to put in some technology, like scratch card, like a scratch technology.
I was still going to talk about that too. We have seen that.
You know, especially for products that people buy a lot, like anti-malarials in this part of this world. Anti-malarials. So I know some brands, that have incorporated that into their product design. That okay, scratch this number. If you see it, they will even tell you, send it as a text message to so dedicated numbers online to get a feedback from them, whether it is fake or original. Because the truth is that counterfeit products is a sabotage to the economy itself and to those that are even doing the right thing in the country. So some companies have been able to come up with that. Sometimes some companies, they take these counterfeit or fake drug fakers, as they call them, by storm. How do I mean? They just change the packaging without notifying even the distributors. They just put it up and then marketing goes in. Because by the time you do that, sometimes they can even incorporate some features in the design. Maybe let's say it's a bottle.
Okay.
The cap, they can put a design on it, maybe they can put the company logo on it, put some things just to distinguish it. Because how do you know fake? For you to know fake, just like handling currency, how do you know a fake Naira note, 1,000 Naira note? It's because you have handled the original for a long time. So the question is this: what is the proportion of original products in the market? Because if you have been used to the original, it will be very easy for you to spot the fake. But when people have been used to fake, so the idea of the business in quotes of counterfeit products is a business of deception. You deceive people to take poison. And you're also misinforming people. You're also misleading people. Because in the first place, for you to even embark on faking drugs, medication that's supposed to save life, it shows that that person doesn't care about people. And such people should be treated as people who commit treasonable offense, because you are hurting the whole population.
They don't value life.
It's like saying the bottled water we all drink. A particular someone is going around buying them and then putting things in it and redistributing it back for all of us to drink, you don't know who will be hurt.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
there's this thing, there's this mafia thing they say, that you don't get high on your own shit. Those are the kind of people that we are talking about. These people, they know
They
this
don't
product.
take
They
it.
don't even take that brand. People who fake drugs, they know that they are the one. They don't take it. They even tell their families not to take that particular brand. They can, because they have money, they can afford the very expensive ones. That's to tell you how very selfish and very, very cruel, because the foundation of everything is greed.
Yes.
Exactly.
Is greed. The same greed that makes someone that gets into political office wants to amass wealth. It's the same greed. And let me tell you this. You can't embark on that business to come out. You want to go into faking drugs. That means you must, first of all, have capital.
Yeah.
It's a capital intensive, whether you're using chalk or whatever. You need capital to start it. Number two, you need some kind of idea, knowledge. At least you must have been around where something is being produced. Maybe someone that work in a factory where paracetamol is being packaged, and you probably saw the way the machine is doing it and just felt, oh boy.
So are you saying people that do these things, they are the elites still? Because you're talking of capital. Who can come up with that kind of capital? And then they are still, I don't want to now say dismissed pharmacists or people that were in that line. Maybe they did not finish. The way they always suspect that people robbing on the streets might be dismissed policemen.
Okay.
So is that really what you're saying?
And well, one thing is that crime is multifaceted. For when it comes to fake drugs, there are charlatans involved. There are professionals involved. And there are elites involved. And the truth is this. Like for you to embark on to fake any products, that means you've related with the original. You've purchased the original. You've studied the original. You want to replicate the original. It's a waste of creativity itself.
Sure.
It's that energy that you'll have put in developing a product or even partner with that company to make their product move, and you also earn money legally. You are put into that thing. Now, when I say, like you asked, that is it just some set of people? No. The truth is that the elites, they can even recruit the poor to be packaging it. I know someone that told me how he worked before getting to school. He worked in a room like this, and they worked shift around the clock. What are they doing there? They were faking textbooks. They were printing fake textbooks, school books, en masse. But another thing that you also have to know is that it's like an hydra. If you go to the shops where these fake drugs are being sold, some of them don't even know that they even bought fake drugs.
Yeah.
Because it's the same channel that the original is being sold through, is the fake drugs also leverage on. So you might be shocked that chief in your community is producing a fake drug in his backyard, and he's highly respected. You just him as a businessman. But in his compound with high fence around, with security, something is going on in that compound. You're just seeing vehicles going in and coming out. So fake drugs also can sometimes have, from seizures I've seen in the media, sometimes can even be in a flat. And this is not trying to indict anybody. You can't really find a sane pharmacist doing that. Nobody wants to risk his license to go and do that.
Okay.
Most times, there are people who have worked around pharmaceutical companies. Do you understand me? Or someone that has a creativity, he has a machine that can compress something. Let us even go to as small as sachet water that people drink. Hope you are aware that the sachet water we drink, the NAFDAC number on it is not for consumption. A lot of people.
What is it for then?
Thank you. You see, knowledge is power. When you don't know something, you become a victim or you become a victim of something you don't know. Now, the NAFDAC National Agency for Food Administration or for Drug and Control and Administration, they are saddled with responsibility, number one, to regulate the importation, the exportation, the manufacturing of, and the sale, the use of drugs cosmetics, drinks, either alcoholic or non-alcoholic, food, chemical preparations, and so on. Anything that has to do with people ingesting or rubbing.
Okay.
NAFDAC is able to control all that up to the use. Now, you also have another body, sorry I'm digressing a bit, called PCN. That's Pharmaceutical Council of Nigeria. They are saddled with responsibility of pharmacy education, training of pharmacists, their licensing, who needs and all. They regulate those that practice pharmacy. Now, see these two, they work together. Now, coming to sachet water now. NAFDAC gives out when you want to register a product, NAFDAC come to inspect the facility where that product is being made.
Okay.
They want to check, is it up to standard? Because there are prerequisites, there are requirements for you to produce water. Because it's what people are going to take. If there is coliform in that your tank or something, people will die. There will be outbreak of cholera. So NAFDAC work is to come and inspect. Just like the way PCN will come and inspect your pharmacy before you start. They want to see, okay, the space, is it not, I hope it's not, what's the distance between your pharmacy and another pharmacy? Because there are regulations to these things. The NAFDAC number on sachet water is for domestic use. What do I mean? NAFDAC gave that. I know there were some sachet water that, very popular in the early 90s, in the late 90s rather. I know of Tokas, I know of
Tokas. Yes, I know Tokas.
Now, the idea of sachet water is because of emergency use. You're a Muslim, you want to pray, you want to wash your hands, you're in your shop, I don't have to go and fetch water. You just buy it, you bust it, and you use it right there. And you discard the nylon, the plastic waste properly. Your vehicle broke down your vehicle is overheating, it cools down, you want to put in water, you buy sachet water, maybe like a bag. Do you understand? For an emergency use, but because it's convenient, it's cheap, it's easy to get. So people felt, okay, I can drink it. As long as
sachet water wasn't meant to be.
It was not meant for drinking.
For consumption.
The one that is approved is the table water. Because I work for a chemical company that's also into industrial water treatment. So all these things are
But people are not buying it even for their houses. Like that's what most people. So
I was drinking it for many years.
We migrated from
drugs.
No, from what's it called? Ice water.
Okay.
Yes.
In those
Ice water,
days,
you put it
water
inside
in
Santana,
yes,
let them put it in your fridge and take.
So when pure water came in, so we think that we can easily move away from ice water to pure water. What he's trying to explain is that NAFDAC approve that pure water for commercial use, not actually for the purpose of drinking. But because we don't know, so we were used to ice water. So when pure water came in, many of us or all of us, we believe.
I have a problem. If we are just knowing this now, do you understand? If we are just knowing, and at least we are literate, who is supposed to enforce that thing? Who is supposed to enforce it to say, okay, this thing is not supposed to be domesticated, or how do I use the word?
To be ingested.
And people have been ingesting, and for all I care, maybe that's why you have typhoid everywhere.
Of course.
Do you understand? So who is supposed to enforce it? Which agency of government?
Part of the cholera outbreak that's happened maybe recently in some location, we heard that it was traced to some of the sachet water.
Is it the Ministry of Health? Is it the NAFDAC?
For to answer your question, there's an agency called National Orientation
Of course,
Agency.
we know that.
Now, their work is to sensitize the public on things like this in collaboration with NAFDAC. NAFDAC will do theirs, but there's actually an agency, the Ministry of Health, who can do, also has the responsibility to also disseminate information. Because the thing is that a lot of people don't even know this, and that is because there is when the essence of something is not known, abuse is inevitable. When NAFDAC was even giving numbers or what licenses to these factories that produce these things, there should be a follow-up information to the public on these products. Oh, this product is meant for this. This product is meant for this. And also the people that manufacture it also, because they are businessmen. They don't care whether you are drinking it. They will not be there.
But the thing is this, For one now, let's assume that I want to go into that line of business and I'm just getting this information. I may not have known, and I'll go into that line of business, get my NAFDAC number. So my issue here is, why is NAFDAC silent on this? There are other regulatory bodies that could have spoken up. Why are they silent? Because when you talk about pure water, it's everywhere in Nigeria.
It's
like not hidden. So if that is the case, just like you said, they should have spoken up. No one is talking. We're not having this conversation. I wouldn't have known.
Okay.
If it was just on the street that I'm hearing this, I will argue it. That's the truth. So are we saying public enlightenment is not enough on the part of the government? Because if it is not enough, then the scourge of fake drugs and some other products will continue.
True. You know, like you rightly said, it is the duty of the duty of every governor, every president, is to secure lives.
Yes.
As a governor of a state, you are the number one security officer of that state. If there's a cholera outbreak, the governor there's a standing, the governor goes into action through the relevant ministry. Now, for people who are not being aware, simply means the agency itself had failed in that part. Let us be sincere. Those that are responsible to communicate the populace on this, they failed in that part. And the truth is that a lot of people are moving to that line of business that they don't even also know. So that means when at the point of registering the product, people should be told that this product that you're coming, this kind of business you want to register for, this is it. You must let your customers know that this is why I'm selling this product. It's like saying you want to open a shop, a barber shop, and you open the barber shop, you put a barber, all this hairstyle there. Okay. You've already communicated something that this is a barber shop. But I'm not sure most barbers don't even use that thing again.
Those
different kind of hairstyle. They've changed, they've evolved.
That was in the 90s.
Imagine you now open a barber shop, you put a barber seat there. Someone walks in and you'll be like, I want to cut my hair. Person said, we a barber shop, but currently the barber is not on seat. We are only selling food here. It's misleading. So that means NAFDAC needs to let anyone else to go into that line of business that, the essence why you are doing, that means NAFDAC also needs to enforce and monitor and ensure that, because it's not just about producing. Because when it comes to production of products, medicines, consumables, there's something called pharmacovigilance. Pharmacovigilance means you have produced the product, it's not in the market. You have monitored it in the lab, right? The quality control. When it goes on the market, you also have to monitor it. Is there any reaction, adverse reaction reported in some people? That's why I say that sometimes some companies recall some products. They won't tell you the reason why. Sometimes it could be that they found out that because truly when you produce anything, you don't have all the full information, how it's going to. You only have a greater percentage that, okay, in fact, the FDA in the US, if a particular drug goes through clinical trials, first, second, third, and maybe safety around maybe like 90%, they can't let it fly. Oh yes, can't let it go. So that means there would be some expected adverse reaction. That's why most of the products, it's expected that you as a manufacturer, you need to state the adverse reaction you have noticed in your trials. So if you're going to line up being like sachet water, you have to educate your customers too. That, Oga Madam, this is why I'm producing this. This is the reason. But the truth is that people are not being sincere.
Maybe to probably maybe defend maybe that maybe to stand against him a bit in the sense that I just said it now that we used to know pure water. Ice water. Now imagine how we used to get the ice water. Just to get a normal nylon, take the water from the tap and put in the fridge. Then it becomes cold. We sell in the environment.
And there was cholera a lot.
At some point, we're even doing lolly. They call it lollipop.
Lolly,
just mix some things.
What I'm trying to say is that if pure water came on board and they could have some level of regulation for them,
Perhaps,
And,
Abi.
yes,
Yes.
at that level. And he came to the community, comparing it to the ice water, which we used to know. At least this is a little bit safer. Maybe that is why we all started drinking the pure water. But I know maybe at this stage now, or I believe by the time we get to some level, maybe the public enlightenment should come in. And I still believe there are some community in even in Lagos, I shouldn't say in Nigeria, even in Lagos, that the water that they drink is bad. Maybe let's use people in maybe Makoko area
I
now.
was
For
going to say
example.
that. Makoko, yeah.
Even Epe.
So if they have pure water ready for them regularly that they are drinking, it will be better than, because they cannot afford bottled water.
Hmm.
Anyways,
You
let's
don't
not
expect-
deviate. We are
Okay.
deviating to water too much
We're
now.
actually on
So
drugs.
I want to. I'm looking at self-medication
Okay.
and how in my head I'm thinking. Well, maybe this is just my own hypothesis. Maybe researchers can do. I'm thinking that self-medication might be an enabler for fake drugs in this part of the world. And this is what I mean. Because oftentimes people just go and meet the pharmacy. You are not asking the pharmacy or telling them this is, or you're coming with a prescription. You are just coming to tell them, give me, in Nigeria, once you are sick, you first thing is malaria and typhoid. All of us, we diagnose ourselves.
Yeah.
So you are just coming to tell them. In fact, some already know the drug. The drug you took the last time, maybe that was prescribed. You just go somewhere. So, but don't you think if we're coming with prescription? Because I believe maybe we've come across the story. Somebody said, it was a tweet on Twitter that said, I will never forgive Soso Pharmacy, pharmacist in Ilorin, that I went there to buy Postin or 2. All of you, thank God for me today. My child is 7 years old. So the Postin or 2 she bought from that pharmacy is what she took, and she still gave birth to her child. I'm just using. So this is someone that most likely would have, if that it's fake already. So you are not working with a prescription. You're just coming and you're telling. I do that also. I'm also guilty of that. I already know that. My mom gave me this drug at one point. I'll just come. They gave me. When you use a drug that worked for you for something, you just keep it in your mind. In fact, sometimes we snap it. So don't you think because people are not working with prescription the standard way, and we've heard that abroad it's harder to get drugs than it is in Nigeria. Don't you think it's enabling the fake drugs to thrive? Because people can just make drugs and everybody can go to a corner site. Those fake drugs, you can find them in very fake, what we call chemists. Somebody, you know. But if it's hard for somebody to just come in, we even know down to post-pill, there are some drugs that is regulated, down to contraceptive that are regulated. You cannot just go and ask for it. But if people can easily just go to a pharmacy and give me this and give me, we don't have a culture where self-medication is not encouraged at all. Don't you think it will help to reduce the amount of fake drugs that will be out there? Because then it will mean you are going with a prescription. And most likely, if you're taking that prescription from the hospital, sometimes doctors go as far as telling you, go to this pharmacy. This is where you get it. Don't you think it will help? Because I feel the pharmacists are also encouraging self-medication, because oftentimes they don't stand their ground to tell you, where is your prescription?
All right. I went to maybe answer your question. I would say yes, partially. And that's why if you walk into a reputable community pharmacy, even though when you want to do self-medication, we will always ask. Yes, we know that in Nigeria, everybody believes it's malaria and typhoid. I can't count the number of times I have changed people's prescription as a self-medication prescription in my community pharmacy. They come in, I have malaria and typhoid. The first thing I will ask you, have you done any tests to prove that? Don't worry. I know how it's usually doing you. Okay, no problem. How is it doing you? By the time we start probing, although most of the time, I may ended up most of the time, giving only malaria drug and remove typhoid. Because the person is not having any symptoms of typhoid. Although the ideal thing is that the person should go and run a test. Because there are even MRDT test kits that were even encouraged we should use before we start treatment for malaria. But we understand the economic factor of some of these things. By the time we challenge the person, because I have headache, body pain, and we look at the symptoms, it's related to malaria. And if it's also related to typhoid, we go ahead and probably give. By the time we encourage, will you like to run a test first before you use, no, I don't have time. I have to do this, I have to do. So, okay, no problem. We can get this medication, then we can then give medication for that particular treatment. Now, maybe to counter the post-2 discussion, is that drug, that post-2 may not necessarily be fake. I'm not the one who sold it, so I wouldn't know because I didn't see it, but may not necessarily be fake. Now, when you are taking emergency contraceptives, when conception has taken place, it will not work. So that is why if you read it, the only contraceptive that is 100% safe is abstinence. That is the only one. Even condom is about 80-something.
It's not 100%.
It's not 100%. The post-2 we are talking is not. So once conception has taken place, if you like, buy 10 packs and use, nothing will happen. You will see you ended up having that pregnancy.
It's not twins.
So I agree with you partially in the sense that when we discourage self-medication, yes, we can probably reduce that because, for example, everybody knows that it's malaria. And that's why they want to mutate a malaria drug. And from what my colleague said, all the malaria drugs in Nigeria today has that the scratch pin that you must confirm if it is original or not. So it is difficult to come into the malaria space to do a counterfeit drug. But I still understand the fact that some of our big boys that probably will go to India to produce it, they will tell them, instead of making the Artemether 80 milligram, please just make it 60 milligram. That is just to reduce cost for them. Not that it didn't contain what it's supposed to contain, but they will reduce.
Let me cut you. When you said India, why is India seen? So should we suspect drugs coming from India?
Not only India.
Where?
Let me react to what you just said now. Now, WHO defines counterfeit products as one that is deliberately, fraudulently manufactured, mislabeled. Sometimes it is the API, the active pharmaceutical ingredient in it, is deliberately not sufficient. So there's substandard, there's counterfeit. Counterfeit is outright fake. Substandard means, like you said, the API that's supposed to be in it, is reduced.
Okay.
And recently, even India, their own regulatory agency, did a storm around pharmaceutical because there's a manufacturing hub. I think Gujarat also in India. Just like the way you have Guangzhou in China for manufacturing, they have something like that too. By the time they went around and did their own findings, they found that a lot of these products, these companies that can do contract manufacturing, because a lot of people in Nigeria, we don't produce. You tell a company in India, produce this thing. You are the one telling the company to do. So because, like you said, they do substandard, they reduce the API, and then they bring things in. It encourages, so that's one battle. And that one is a professional thing. It's professionals that tell someone to do this. So as I said, it's an hydra. There's counterfeit products. One is outright fake. Now, another part of fake products is some actually, there have been cases of a product, let's say this product is sulfadoxine pyrimethamine, and it's being mislabeled as another anti-malaria, and it's being sold. That, when you're selling fancy that, and you're dosing it like artemether, there's problem. And this is coming from where it's being produced. Now, India is not the only country that um, Nigeria goes to import medications from. As a matter of fact, Pakistan has been heavily indicted in the past for substandard products. Pakistan, Egypt, and China. My mom worked in a pharmaceutical, in a pharmacy in Ikoyi for 16 years as a cashier. In fact, that was where I saw standard pharmacy practice in Falomo, the then Falomo shopping complex before it was demolished. You know, that was what made me wanted to study pharmacy. I just wanted to study pharmacy. In fact, my younger brother tried to gain admission to pharmacy, University of Lagos, the same place we both went. 5 times. He wanted to study pharmacy because we saw a standard pharmacy practice where white people come in. You see the way the pharmacists interacted with people. You can't even come in without a prescription and all that. So we was inspired by that. Now, I'm saying this. There's this my mom's colleague then. I'm still coming about that self-medication thing. My mom's colleague then, I'm sorry to say, is a particular tribe in this country. And the owner of the business is an Igbo man. The man is a pharmacologist, as in PhD. He studied abroad, came to Nigeria and the pharmacy. Whenever drugs are expiring, maybe like in a month's time, the man has the tradition of taking the product, takes it to Ikoyi prison, gives them, they should use it quickly, maybe 2 months too. He does, that was his, so that it saves it. It's like a CSR. It doesn't lose outrightly instead of to go. Because when a drug expire, there's a way you have to dispose it. I'm correct?
You are correct.
If you are a chemical company and products expire, chemical raw material expire, you can't just take it and go and dispose it.
You still need to pay.
You still need to pay
dispose it.
to dispose it properly, because if you dispose it into the environment, the Ministry of Environment will come after you and you are going to pay heavily.
So don't you think if I feel I should pay, why should I want to pay to dispose it, or when there are other ways I could have done it?
Because they will help you dispose it properly, because there's a way that chemical product has to be neutralized before it gets into the environment. So there's an agency also doing that. Which is NAFDAC. Now, going back to what I was saying, my mom's then boss would take the products to the prison and give them antibiotics, anti-malaria, like that. They use,
some of us still do it today. Maybe anytime we want to do outreach, we reach out to our colleagues.
Okay.
Please, if you have short-dated products that you think you can give to us that we can use for this outreach, people bring. Because it pays to give it out. And still keeping it at the end of the day, you still have to pay to get it destroyed by
So in essence, India is not the only place.
It's not the only.
You mentioned Pakistan,
China.
Yeah. So okay.
China.
China. The
China.
China.
So let me finish my story. I'm coming.
Yeah. So we are time.
So now, this my mom's colleague was always upset with their boss.
Mm-hmm.
This Igbo man, is he an Igbo man at all?
Why can't you go and repackage it?
Why can't you just go and relabel this thing? See money.
They do it. Some people do it actually.
Counterfeit products, as defined by WHO, is also a product that is being relabeled. Expiring product that is being relabeled. It's also part of counterfeit products.
And I think I have seen a product too that the product has expired. They put a sachet into the newer pack.
Wow.
They put it into a newer pack.
Is it a current drug?
Yes, it's a current drug. Maybe
you want to test. So we were aware. We would.
Okay. Maybe call it no.
Okay.
Maybe I think I saw that maybe 5 years ago. They bought a new pack of medication. Maybe because maybe along the line, then I think I was doing locum in one of the pharmacy there. They sold it out to a client, and the client returned it back. And when they checked, they said, we just got this. So we now realize that, this is actually possible. That's another way of all these people that are maybe all these big boys that have big store. They don't want to lose outrightly. They'll just maybe 4 packs has expired. They'll just remove 1 sachet each and be putting in, because they know that a lot of us, or by the time you check the pack, you see the expiring date, you just.
I think there's another practice now that I observed. You see, maybe expired products. Let's say, for example, Bonvita, Milo, milk,
Beverages.
generally. So they are expired. What people now do is they unpack the contents into maybe nylon.
Transparent nylon.
Yes. Then they now resell them to people at a cheaper rate. So for those ones, the perception they have is that they are buying directly from the company, that it's cheaper to buy from the company when they are not bagged or packed in the tin. So they believe that they're buying directly from the company. Meanwhile, the reverse is the case. They are expired products. But people are now rebagging it. So they sell it as plain. Instead of branding it, no, they sell it as an unbranded product. And you're buying it. And you can imagine what that would do to people's health.
So let me respond to that quickly. You see, the surge of, or let me say surge. You see, when there is law, but there's no adequate enforcement, there will be problem. See, may you not get into problem with government. You know that there are laws.
Yeah.
But the problem has always been enforcement. You see, when you found those kind of things, for example, in Nigeria, it is because of the breakdown of the health delivery system that we have the existence of some things like what you just said, and you have the open drug markets, you have the patent medicines. In other countries, you don't have such things. And the thing is that it is usually illiterate people or semi-illiterate that perpetuate those things. I'm talking about the ones, they just repackage Bonvita and all that. And to them, they think they're trying to save money. And it still boils down to education. When you know that this thing I'm doing, my family could be affected,
Exactly.
you won't do it. But you see, you might be sure that those people, they know those things, they won't take that product. Most times, people would do bad things or that produce poisonous things or that produce fake products. They don't take those products. They won't. And there's a place of ignorance on those women that do that because they saw someone do it. They think they are trying to maximize profits. And it also applies to some companies or to some maybe pharmacy that felt, I have this product so much. It's expiring on me. Why can't I just quickly put a label, quickly sell it?
Okay.
So still talking about the scourge of fake drugs. Now, I think we need to look at the channels as well. Now, growing up, Ode mentioned earlier what we refer to as chemists in this part of the world.
Patent medicine stores.
Yes. Now, is that not an area the government should look at in order to address this issue of fake drugs? Because he mentioned earlier that if we need to identify a pharmacy, there are things that we need to see for us to know, okay, this is a pharmacy, a standard pharmacy. So now, and I'm not sure fake drugs would naturally be sold in a standard pharmacy or a certified pharmacy. So these are channels I'm talking about the patent stores now. These are channels through which fake drugs or substandard drugs can be sold. Don't you think it's an area the government should look at?
Okay, can I respond?
Yeah.
So in my career as medical sales rep, I worked in pharmaceutical sector, distribution and likes. So my understanding of the supply chain of medicines in Nigeria is such that if you look at the system, like I said initially, because of the failure, the gaps in the health delivery system, access to quality medicines gave rise to what they call chemist shops, or what they call PPMVs, proprietary patent medicine vendors. And these people thrived because of gaps, access to proper healthcare. Now, the question is how do drugs come in from production down to the consumer? Who are the stakeholders involved? Now, let's look at it. There are two. There is indigenous production in the country. Okay. And Nigeria mostly imports from India a lot, and China also. Then some of that comes from Europe, the very, very expensive ones, like the Novartis, the GSK, and like most England. Some come from Europe. The other ones who are like generic drugs. Generic drugs are the drugs like we have Panadol, which is paracetamol. It's a premium brand. Then you have let me say cheaper other brands that are not as expensive as that. We call them generic brands, right? So you have some of these ones come from India. Now, when these products come in, from abroad. They come in through the ports. But before a product comes into Nigeria, it's first of all, not the importer or the company importing that product has to bring a sample, take it to NAFDAC. NAFDAC conduct a study and all that to be sure this product is safe. They analyze it to be sure that this product is coming in.
That's before it leaves the country where it's been imported from. Okay.
Imported from. You have to bring sample because they want to be sure that what you claim it's how to do, from the labeling to the active pharmaceutical ingredients in it, the purity, because products have to be pure. There are purity levels for different products, especially for products like infusion. I mean drips. Those are in fact parenteral. They call them parenteral routes, right? Those ones, in fact, you can't joke. You can't joke. In fact, the let me say these adherence levels, it has to be met. You can't even gamble with that one. So now imagine somebody faking drips.
Wow.
You know he wants to kill people. Now, that aside. So the product is coming in. NAFDAC checks. Okay. Tick all the check boxes. Okay. It's okay. You can bring it in. At the point of bringing it in, okay, you give your NAFDAC number. Even at the point of bringing it in, they still have to also check. It's all about control and administration also. They check at the ports to be sure, okay, you are bringing it in, and then you now begin to distribute. Now, distribution channels is this. Let's say I am an import. I am a pharmaceutical company bringing something from India. I have my NAFDAC number already for the products. The first thing is I begin to do marketing. You need to sensitize people, I have these products. You need to do your marketing campaigns and all that. And then from the manufacturer or the importer, it goes to the distributors. Now, these distributors, unfortunately, the rise of patent medicine stores, because patent medicine stores came about because people in the remote areas that couldn't access pharmacy, standard pharmacy practice, because to set up a standard pharmacy practice can be expensive, capital intensive. Yes. My guy here can testify to that. So imagine somebody inside, let's say this is Lagos now, let's say in a very remote place, like inside Ikorodu, like Igbogbo.
Okay.
So, and there's only one PHC, primary healthcare center, there. And I need to buy paracetamol or this I'm sick. So convenience also is there. That, there's one Baba who is a retired nurse, or one mama who is a retired nurse in the ministry, has a shop. She's just selling, more or less complementing the PHC. And we trusted that, we knew her that she was a registered pharmacist, she had retired, she's treating people at home. So I can go to her, I trust her.
Registered nurse.
Registered nurse.
Not registered pharmacist.
So, I'm sorry, registered nurse.
Okay.
Registered nurse. Okay. Sometimes they can even be auxiliary nurse, what we call them, people that are trained under a nurse or under a doctor who didn't necessarily do not go to school of nursing. So that mama is there and she has been treating people, injecting people are getting well.
Wow.
So these people,
although their importance too is there, in the sense that a standard community pharmacy cannot be everywhere. So that's the need for patent medicine store. There are still some places, even in this Lagos, even outside Lagos, they are not pharmacy in all the local governments. So all these patent medicine store that we are talking about, they help just to fill up the gaps
in the healthcare division.
I know the Pharmacy Council law, there's one which came out, how do I put it? Is it modified, they call it? It was reviewed and enacted into law last year, 2022, ending of 2022, but has some of these things already. And they talked about what is it called, satellite pharmacy. But if those ones are well implemented, it can help. Then when we talk about maybe if we remove this patent medicine store, if it will help fight for the fake drug, I wouldn't say that will help totally. The major thing that will definitely help is the drug distribution channel.
I'm not saying they should be removed. I'm talking about the regulatory framework. Now, if you set up that framework, there should be a way they are being monitored.
Sure.
True.
Yes, I know one way or the other, Pharmacy Council of Nigeria also monitor them,
Very well.
but there are some that are not being monitored at all. Meaning somebody will just wake up and just open up a shop and start selling drugs. We even see them at the bus stops.
The hawk drugs.
The hawk drugs,
We
yes.
see them. But how many, I will ask myself, how many we NAFDAC, how many we PCN do? So that's why there's this need for this sensitization discussion. There's need for this. So those people that hawk on the road, the storage condition is not even ideal because they hawk it inside the sun. There are some drugs that are, although you can't see them with them anyway, we call them cold chain drugs. There are some drugs that shouldn't be stored in a place that is above maybe 23 degrees Celsius. That's why in most pharmacy, when you see, there's always AC. So there are some drugs that if you don't store them properly, especially most of this gel, they'll start to melt and the potency reduces through that process, and it ended up not meeting up the treatment goal. So I'm talking about drug distribution channel. And I think this has been a long battle between maybe the pharmacy in general and maybe the government, the stakeholders. Because if actually this want to work, they need to look for people like Dora Akunyili
God bless us.
of those, in blessed memory, of those days. Now, the work of Dora Akunyili generally help also reduce, what's it called, fake drugs from about 70% to 10%. So
That's massive.
It's
yes.
massive.
And after she has left the office, there was a little increase again. So what I'm trying to say here is that when you look at the drug distribution sector, from the manufacturer down to the wholesaler, down to the retailers, to the final consumer. I know in the industry, we are trying to do something like that. I was just telling someone this morning that I was opportune to be in Lume early this year. In fact, their drug distribution system is superb. In fact, I saw
Lume, that's Togo.
in
Yeah?
Togo, yeah.
Yes.
It's superb. You cannot walk into their pharmacy and just pick up any medication. I saw I was in one of the pharmacy. I saw as just their glucophage because it was cheap. My mom is on glucophage. I said, okay, let me just get glucophage from them. They said, I have to come with my prescription. I said, what?
And you can get
In
it
Nigeria, I just walk in.
But there are some drugs that are referred to as over-the-counter drugs.
Yes, we have prescription-only medicine and we have over-the-counter medicine. Some of our prescription-only medicine, we will now be selling them over-the-counter. Example of such is antibiotics.
True.
Antibiotics are supposed to be prescription-only
It's
medicine.
something like Flagyl, yeah? I heard something. Is Flagyl supposed to be...
Flagyl can be over-the-counter.
Okay.
Core
Because
antibiotics, like even like
Amoxicillin,
amoxicillin.
ciprofloxacin. Because these are the things that now ended up we having antibiotic resistance.
Drug resistance.
Which
They are
is
taking
not helping.
Ciprofloxacin. They give that for typhoid now.
Yes,
lots,
they do that.
You
for-
see, I know
That's-
drugs because we are self-medicating.
Okay, sorry. Now, let me talk about one thing again. I want to talk about usage now,
All right.
which is also an issue when talking about fake drugs. Now, I remember growing up, there's this drug for cough,
Codeine.
codeine,
Okay.
Benylin. We used to Benylin with codeine. Yeah.
By NGC. German
So, but
chemicals.
at some other point, I felt that, okay, people now started abusing it. I'm sure that's drug abuse, but sometimes it's an issue too when a drug that is meant for a particular thing is now being used for another thing. Now, some of those drugs are now taken out of circulation. I remember there was a time this drug, Actifed,
Okay.
I think it's no longer allowed. If I'm correct.
It is.
There were some
Actifed
drugs
is-
that were listed that
Okay.
they were advising people not to buy again, that they have been outlawed.
Can't
Without
remember.
prescription.
Yeah, there were some that they were no longer effective again. Maybe they were still in circulation also. Because I
think people
felt
people
if
still
those
get
drugs were
anti-fed.
still in circulation and they've been outlawed, there should be a way of withdrawing those drugs.
Maybe what he's trying to talk about, maybe the monotherapy treatment for malaria. You know, there was a certain time, all this like chloroquine, all the monotherapy treatment for malaria were actually withdrawn and were asked not to sell them again. In fact, it is COVID that brought back chloroquine back to our shelf.
True.
Some of us still have chloroquine today, but before COVID, there's no chloroquine on our shelves. So maybe that is what you are talking about.
Okay.
That WHO said what should treat malaria should be ACT. So then all the monotherapy were withdrawn.
Okay, all right. Now, talking about the law enforcement agencies, now, what is their role in the issue of fake drug? Now, you said the regulatory bodies might not have enough workforce to go around. We all know the police are everywhere. Don't you think there can be a form of partnership with them to see how some of these things can be enforced? For example,
Police.
No, it's making
Okay.
sense. It's making sense.
talking
Because they have to
about
work together with
partnership
them.
now, that there are some government agencies that when they want to go do their work, they bring in police on
Of
board.
course, because there
No,
could
I'm just looking at how effective police has. You know, when you mentioned the word police, I'm just
Now-
thinking, you know,
police cannot work.
police, we are trying to fight something that is fake. And you
They
bring
will
police.
compound the
Yeah,
No,
that's
I
so
understand
maybe
you.
there should be another enforcement and but police.
No, he said
Eh?
in conjunction with this.
I'm talking about partnership, collaboration now.
collaboration. Maybe they want to go and
And NEPA used to carry police to court like too.
something like that.
Yeah, we know what happened. So
You know, sometimes when you
Although I
see
think there is a police department too that actually help in this. I think in the NDLE,
NDLE,
they
that's
have
NDLE.
police department
Armed
too
guys. No,
that maybe when they see a fake and counterfeit drug, and what do they classify as fake? Any product without NAFDAC number. And to be sincere, it's not all the product without NAFDAC number that is actually fake.
then is it
To be
all
sincere.
products with NAFDAC number
That is
is
original.
Yes.
Original.
I can say 98%.
okay? So we are not.
Except those that they counterfeit. You know, when they counterfeit the drug,
Okay.
they will want to do it as the original.
They might even put another.
So is there a way to spot fake NAFDAC number? Is there fake NAFDAC? How do we know fake NAFDAC number?
How do you know fake NAFDAC
Yeah.
number? Anyway, they will not put the fake NAFDAC number. They will put the original NAFDAC number.
Okay.
But the product is actually fake.
fake.
But he was saying something. Before you can know that something is fake, you must be used to the original.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah,
If
that's
you are not
true.
used to the original,
You can't
there's
know
no way
fake.
you can spot the fake. So why? Okay, like recently, maybe early this year or is it late last year, a particular medication was very, very scarce. A medication from GSK, and I heard that some people were counterfeiting it by taking another brand of that product, and they were now putting the real pack. They were now labeling it the real as the original. Okay, let me cite the example. It was Ampiclos. Ampiclos was very scarce.
Bicha.
Bicham Ampiclos. So people
I
were
think
now
the company
using.
left Nigeria.
Yeah,
or
because
something.
GSK
The
left the
operations
country.
left Nigeria.
That's why I used to tell people that any medication that is very, very scarce, you need to be very careful of where you get that product from. You just need to be very, very careful. Because Ampiclos was scarce, so people took another brand, I don't want to mention the brand name, that looked like Ampiclos. So they just do the relabeling like Ampiclos. And they were not selling it very expensive.
That's misrepresentation.
Maybe the other brand is at the rate of maybe 500 naira. So now they are not selling this one at the rate of about 5,000 naira.
So is there like a sword? You know, when some of these is it just that pharmacy GSK that left Nigeria?
Sanofi has also
Sanofi
left.
has
So
also left.
I know that a lot of drugs went skyrocketed their price and all of that. Now you know there will not be maybe local alternative or people will. So is it like from that last year, has there been a surge of this fake drug menace because of these companies leaving?
Well, I won't say there is. In my own practice, maybe because of where I get my own medication from. As long as a pharmacist, we get from a distributor that is also registered with, what is it called? The PCN, that is also well regulated. With that alone, when you know the source of your medication, you have a little bit rest of mind. You don't necessarily need to always be checking. But for some people, like the open market in Idumota, some people working there pick up some medication. You cannot guarantee 100% what you are picking. They might probably, maybe, okay, in a box, put the real original on the top and put the other counterfeit one on bottom.
I know
It's possible.
I know someone that's experienced that before, and
It's possible.
She never tried it again.
So some of them say, it is cheaper there. That's why maybe the populace also need to encourage some of these pharmacies that maybe you say, your drugs are expensive, your drugs are this and that. Maybe because of where they are sourcing it from. You know, you don't want to source in a place that whereby you cannot 100% guarantee. Recently, last week, I wanted to stock a particular product from the same distributor I used to get from. They told me there's a new law. Before you need to apply with NAFDAC, and before we can supply you. Which drug is that? Pentacocin. I was wondering, this is drug you have been supplying me for. Why am I just requesting for just a pack? You are now asking me, I went to the NAFDAC site, I see the process, and you are saying, is it all the process I will go through? Okay, that be the case, let me abandon the medication. But there might not be a genuine person that need the medication.
So that person will be suffering.
So NAFDAC in their own way, they are also trying to help. And there is also another thing NAFDAC is bringing on board. We call it traceability program, that every drug that comes into the country, they want to know. And down to the final user. As I was talking about the country I went to, the drugs that comes into that country, based on what I was told, pass through their own Ministry of Health, down to the distributor. Their systems are linked together in a way that down to the final consumer. Not that in this Lagos or Nigeria, if somebody walk into my premises and want to get medication, you try to get the person is even in a hurry. Please, can you quickly attend to me? Let me move out. But over there, you have to be patient. They need to take in your details because they will tell you they need to report to the Ministry of Health who they dispense this medication to.
Even this paracetamol.
Even if it is paracetamol, they have their system that they do that.
I think this is where the role of a public enlightenment comes in. So when you enlighten people, you tell them the reason why you have to be patient when you're buying drugs from the pharmacies. Maybe people can have a change of heart. Truly, especially we Lagosians, we're always in our
always in hurry.
So can I respond to the distribution part?
Okay.
Now the thing is this: I mentioned earlier on that it's the same channel, supply chain, that the person selling counterfeit drugs also uses. And you might even be surprised that even a well-regulated pharmacy that goes to Idumota, open market, or Onitsha, or Kano, these are the popular open market. It's actually, you will call them open market because they are open, as they say, like you go in there freely. You don't need a license to buy drugs there. And it's a cluster actually of patent medicine shops or registered pharmacies, so to say, in a particular location.
So both categories of people, they patronize the same channel.
It's a good book.
I'm talking about the pharmacies and the patent shops.
Most times the open drug market, they only sell to retailers, people that buy
in bulk. Okay.
So they actually is a cluster of either patent medicine shops or a mix of pharmacy wholesalers and patent medicine shops that do wholesale. So you find this cluster. Now, the distribution, if it is indigenous, it's easily controlled because you know that, Emzor is one of them. Emzor have their distributors. But unfortunately, that some of the distributors of these companies, they are also in those open markets.
Mm-hmm.
So that means is coexisting of sheep and wolves in the same location. Like he said, you see, there's something called best practice in every profession. You see, what is experienced in Togo is something that NAFDAC or the Ministry of Health, or let me say the government, can actually borrow and replicate here. But you see, there's already a problem. And you see, in borrowing a solution, you must contextualize the solution. African problem must be solved the African way. That's why we're making policies. We must contextualize that problem. You already have the patent medicine existing. So what they are doing, what PCN is doing is that, okay, we know that you are there, but we want to be training you to do the right thing. For example, the PPMVs, what they call the chemist shops, they are not allowed to sell some range of products, especially even some antibiotics. They are not allowed to sell injections. They're not doing. So PCN is trying to regulate that, okay, you are closest to the people in the grassroots.
Yes.
But we want to also know what's your certification. Are you a nurse? Or are you trained in the school of health? At least have something around, have some basic knowledge about health.
And drug.
But please, you cannot sell more than paracetamol, you cannot sell more than cough syrups, you cannot. But the thing is just that the chances of drug abuse and self-medication is higher there. Because people don't come with prescription. Do you see it now?
Even a normal pharmacy.
Even in normal, so
some people
in some
but
pharmacies.
we clerk and we try to like challenge it. But there is something now we are now calling tax shifting, tax sharing. There are some things now like the PPMBs now. There are some certain things they are now allowed
to
do. Why the pharmacists now, there are some certain things that we are not used to before that we are not allowed to do. Example of such is now we can now, give immunization in the community pharmacy. We don't do that before. But the tax shifting, tax sharing is giving us that. We are now allowed to do this family planning of 18. In fact, implants. You can get an implant in a pharmacy that is approved to do that anyway. So you can get an implant, you can get
before it used to be in primary.
Before it has to be in hospital.
Implant Nox. I think there's this one they put in.
Yes, even implant not Jadel. Okay, good. So these are, you can do that now in some community pharmacy, down to the injectables for family planning. So we call it tax shifting, tax sharing, because we know that in Nigeria, the healthcare professionals, we are not that much. And this Jackpot syndrome is now giving us a lot of burden. So the best way we can do is that we do the tax shifting, tax sharing. So all those PPMBs too, they are useful also. They are useful.
And they have associations, they have strong associations.
Their own associations even stronger. So what, to fight this battle of fake drug is that more sensitization and more, we need to make sure this PPMBs, the community pharmacies too are also regulated. The major thing I'm looking at is that it's just, should I say, human factor or Nigerian factor. Everybody want to make money.
Fast money.
Everybody just want to make money. I don't mind selling sand inside water, shaking it and call it one neither. Don't worry, drink. It will heal you of everything. Yeah, and I'll collect money
Jeremiah.
Maybe Jack sell something to you and collect that money. Mm-hmm. So it is human or Nigerian factor. If we can come to that level of understanding that maybe what goes around comes around. He who lives in a glass house should not throw his stone. You don't know who is going to be affected. It might be that thing that I'm producing that is counterfeit. It might be my immediate sibling somewhere that will not be affected. So it's a fight that everybody need to come on board.
True. Let's just move and round up with some. So the last question we're going to, so maybe a little bit, so are there drugs that come into this country and it's just to test run? Are we being used as for clinical trials and all of that? And how safe are we?
So when you talk
because we've heard, some of these things we sound like they are, what do they call this thing? Is it hearsays? No, there's this word you call them. Which theory? There's a word they call these things.
Fallacy.
Not fallacy, but I can't get the word now. Where So is this something we should be scared of? Because you're hearing there's this suspicion between we are becoming more enlightened between us and the West, all right, the Western world, and we know that whether we like them, we rely heavily on them for pharmaceuticals. Even when it comes to, even if it's just the formula they give to us and we now replicate it, they own the patent and all of those things. So sometimes there's this suspicion. There are people that come up with theories that look, have been going the herbal way and it's been good for us. And they are, the defense for people that are being scientific will be that what's the scientific proof for all of this?
Yeah.
And all of those things. But when you now hear that, Africa, we are just here. We wait. Whatever technology is given to us, whether in science, whether in medicine, we just adopt. But is there a fear that we are being used as clinical trials for some drugs?
Okay, so when you talk about clinical trial is not something that you force people to do. You have to sign a consent form, an informed consent form. There has been a clinical trial in Nigeria that we know about, even though the outcome was not palatable. See, clinical trials are something that the government usually has to take charge of. There's no. When we say clinical trial, you have to be told, we want to use it for this. We came for this program, right? We're being informed. We told what we're going to be talking about, right? Yeah. Try it just like that.
But do you trust your government enough? Knowing we are in Nigeria, do you trust our government enough not to sell us out?
No, one thing that even for clinical trials in the one that has actually been done, documented, is the one that you mentioned initially. And even then, the West.
That's the one with Pfizer or something.
Yeah. They are even skeptical of using us, right? They prefer to do the clinical trial, everything there, and use us to make the money. We are the market that will buy the product, right? The anti-malarials, the anti-diabetics, and the like. But really, if there's anything we should be worried about, is the issue of maybe vaccines. I'm going to tell you one.
Yeah.
There was a country, in fact, Niger Republic. A country donated free vaccines for them as gifts, 50,000 doses. Do you know that 2,500 children died from that? So we should be more. So that's where you see the issue of NAFDAC now comes in. See, the burden on NAFDAC, I even feel NAFDAC alone can't fight it. And it's because, and one of the gaps is that there are the health professionals, the doctors, the pharmacists, there's no unity, there's no union. Now, and clinical trials are being conducted by doctors, mostly. Pharmacists are also involved. Lab scientists are also involved. It's a team. It's something that is being championed by a company. And it takes time, a lot of documentation, a lot of paperwork are involved. Before a drug can be approved for use, sometimes a drug can spend up to 20 years. Clinical trial, because they try from rats. From rats, it can move to pigs. Depending, from pigs can move to, then maybe they now try it on maybe apes, then humans. But you see, it takes, because especially when you have to do it, depending on if it's parenteral use, maybe injection, it's the procedure usually more very stringent. You want to be sure that the purity is there. It's not carcinogenic, and that we're even talking about drugs now. You see, a lot of people don't even pay attention to products, even like creams, because now that also regulate creams too.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sorry to say, I digress a bit. A lot of spa and beauty shops here and there now. Osha Prapra. Everybody's mixing cream now. So NAFDAC is all even regulating those people. Because it's all about profit. People want to make money. People are, like you rightly said, people are more enlightened and reading more. Everybody wants to glow.
Yeah.
And the irony of it is that they are seeing immediate results. They don't know the aftermath.
Most of those things that makes you glow, like glutathione, that makes people glow, is the side effect that makes you glow. It's actually
peeling off.
Suppresses your melanin.
So glutathione is bad for the body, or what is that?
Glutathione being injected
into the body.
So it's like one part of the chemical structure the side effect makes you to lose melanin, lightens you. You lose
Okay.
Because
Then the other part-
why I picked that was I've heard people championing that is actually good.
Glutathione has its uses,
Okay.
controlled doses. But when you are using it in creams,
Okay, now I get.
it's because of this. They leave it on the side effect because it's kind of lightens people, suppresses melanin, but it has effect on your kidneys. So you see that there's a lot of sensitization because something has been around for a long time. Something not good has been like a norm. When the abnormal becomes normal, when people now come to come against it, they see them as being odd. So there's a need for people to be aware. So NAFDAC has a role. National Orientation Agency has a role to sensitize people on products. There's need for enforcement. NAFDAC needs to be empowered also. There's need for collaboration. There's need for another thing is that there has been no recorded case of a particular kingpin of counterfeit that have been prosecuted successfully in this country. By the time maybe you pick 1, 2, or 3 persons, NDLA is doing a good work when it comes to, in fact, most times in the news, you're always seeing people being picked at the airport, picked in this place, picked in that place. We're not seeing that on NAFDAC's end. And I feel probably NAFDAC don't have enough.
Because we are not seeing it in recent times, because during the Dora Queen
Sure,
we are seeing that. We saw a lot of people who they are, of course, and I can remember, I know people who it affected their illegal, or how I want to call it, ritual business, because that's killing people.
Money.
Yeah. So is it like it's a function of, do we need another Dora Queen, or you need to strengthen that institution so that regardless of whoever occupies that position, this vacuum that we are now experiencing from when she left, because you gave us the statistics that there was an improvement by up to
from 80%
to 10%.
10%, it drops
10%.
down. So now we have now gone back to
about 15 to 20%.
15, 20%.
I think
we-
it's actually about political will, like you said. Now, when you are building a place like NAFDAC, it's like a football team. You don't build a team on Messi alone. Because the day Messi goes to another club, the team
will crumble.
So you build what they call systems. So the thing is that when you have a Dora Akunyili should be able to reproduce herself in people.
Yes.
You should have upcoming pharmacists. And that also goes to the pharmacy education. The pharmacy education curriculum also has to be incorporated. You have to have trainings on how to identify counterfeit product, because pharmacists are starting with the role to do this. They are the only ones that can help NAFDAC, because they are the ones interfacing with the users. So as a pharmacist, if you are trained from school, you have courses you are taking, you are doing practical courses on how to identify sports counterfeit product. When you are coming out and you're doing your internship, you will help NAFDAC, because it will be like a whistleblowing thing. See something, say something, and there should be kind of protected systems where you can report, even as a Nigerian. There should be some kind of information out in the media, in social media. Thank God there's social media now. Okay, this is how to know a fake product, at least the very glittering one, the very obvious ones. But for standard product, maybe there's not enough APIs.
How that you said that, I want to even check if NAFDAC has, let me say,
something that you can report, a
social
whole
media
line,
page.
that kind of thing. So because everything has to come with feedback. NAFDAC cannot be everywhere. If you know that there's somebody, your neighbor, one person is moving some things shady, you're suspecting something, and you know that this thing, and let me tell you, I used to work for a company that sells Postinor. In fact, I was selling condoms, I was selling Postinor 2, I was selling Jadel. That's why I was smiling when you were talking. Postinor 2 was actually white color, that small pack with rose, pink rose on it.
It used to be white. Okay. Then. But now
Society for Family Health, that's a company I worked for then. They took the open markets, because that thing was majorly, the fake products were actually sold in the open market.
Sure.
They took them by storm by rebranding the products. But even when the new origin, and they did a lot of market segmentation, that is the new face of Postinor 2. But you know that I walked into a pharmacy store in this Lagos. I was there, I wanted to sell original Postinor 2. Somebody came in. He's a charlatan. Men looking at him. Just carry something. Over alpha, this and this. I get that thing, P2. And they have slangs. I have P2, that thing deal. By the time this and this, I can open it, it was Postinor 2. And most times, you will never see the pharmacists do it. Most times, I stand to be corrected. It's usually maybe these shop boys or these charlatans that are disguising as pharmacists or something. These are the ones involved because there's money in it. And mind you, people only fake products that are fast moving
Sure.
and that has high margin and has profits in it.
Sure.
I will never go and waste my time on a fake product that is not selling.
Why do
Why
you
will I go and
really
waste my
waste your
effort?
time?
So when I know that Ampiclos Bicham is
It's
selling
selling.
fast, just like the way we know that people are also faking soft drinks
Yes.
and alcohol. There are some alcohol that now I'm digress. I don't want to digress a bit. I don't want to digress too much. The only way you can curb this thing, you can also declare an amnesty program and say, hey, if you have been doing this, we have given you a period ultimatum. Just like the way you do to pirates. Come, let us work with you. Instead of you using your money to this, come on, let us make you a distributor safe. I know of someone that works in a brewery
Are
company.
you sure they will not become a distributor and still be doing it underground?
So that means
It's
That's
just like
that-
terrorists that you give them this thing.
Amnesty.
That,
So the
that
thing
now
is this.
came back to continue.
So the thing is this, most times it's because government don't keep to their own end of the bargain that these people usually go back. And the thing is that sometimes when you offer these things, you must be sustainable. Anything you are doing, the program must be
Well, that's
sustainable.
true.
Because you are trying to move someone that is doing the wrong thing.
And getting
the
more
right
money.
thing.
Oh.
And the thing is that you have to ensure that that
So-
person is getting more money doing the legal way. There was someone that used to work in a brewery company that told me of how there's this particular brewing company that was selling this particular range of beer in a particular location and discovered that they were not making sales. They were recording that they were seeing placements in the beer parlors and all that, but they were not wondering
How come?
how come this we are seeing placement, we're not seeing our production is not translating to revenue. Now they began intelligence investigation. They had to add undercovers. Do you know that there was a particular chief? This happened in the East. It's a particular respected chief in that place. That bodyguard, as in, so that's why I said elites are usually involved in counterfeit product production because it's capital intensive. To buy packaging material is not cheap. To buy the equipment you use to do it is not cheap. It's the distribution, the logistics is involved. You have to recruit
Now,
boys.
the challenge here now is that by the time this person is being caught,
There'll be
he
sentiments.
has one, there will be sentiments.
Sentiments.
These are African sentiment. This and that.
There's also tribe.
And
That's why
you
they're
now
doing it to you.
realize that he has connection with a court to Aso Rock Abitu.
To us,
Everything
Abuja or something.
is settled.
Okay, I think the issue of fake drugs is something that cannot stop today. The discussion will always continue.
I have to bring you people back.
It's been an interesting topic today. The issue of fake drug is not something that will stop today. The discussion will always continue. It will always reverberate throughout our society. The responsibility to stop fake drugs rests on both the government and we, the populace. It's not the responsibility of the government alone. So let's not allow the love of money to becloud our sense of reasoning or to becloud our sense of humanity. There's a place for humanity. Thank you for watching today's edition, and we hope to see you guys again. Thank you for coming to On Set.
Thank you
for
very
having us.
much.
Thank you for having us.
Hard knocks.